I don't blame anybody for taking the over on the Bears at 8.5. I also don't blame anybody for taking the over 7.5 of the Steelers. That's a low number. I think Russell Wilson will be a solid quarterback for the Steelers. The second half of the season, I mean, he was a top 10 rated quarterback in the NFL once, they kind of just realized we're just going to kind of let Russ play the way we need to let him play before they try to bench him. Oh, by the way, Sean Payton also had to get cataract surgery. Apparently he was calling the wrong plays last year, so I don't know if that has anything to do with the way they played on offense, but we'll just say that maybe that was the case. But the Jets at 9.5, we talked to Shaun Morash earlier. They don't know where their quarterback is. He's somewhere. Robert Saleh says, "Oh yeah, we're on the same page." Robert Saleh has no power whatsoever in that entire building. Nothing. I guarantee you, he doesn't even know where Aaron Rodgers is. He just said, "Hey, I'm going to be out. I'm taking vacation. I'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy."
Yeah, that's just a complete clown show over there.
The Jets are still Jets.
The Jets are still the Jets, honestly. And no Aaron Rodgers, no Breece Hall, no Garrett Wilson is going to fix that. The coaching staff don't make no damn sense. As long as you have Nathaniel Hackett there, I don't trust you. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm not sure he's mobile. I think Shaun Morash is absolutely right. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is mobile enough in a collapsing pocket to really do much. He's going to have to get the ball out like quickety, quick, quick, quick. And he's not Zach Wilson, who can roll out and try to make plays with his legs. And as much as I dislike Zach Wilson, which is quite a bit, Aaron Rodgers is going to need some protection, and we're going to have to see whether the Jets can give him that, because the offensive line has been boo-boo for like 3 years. 4 years?
The Jets are going to be favored. As of right now, the Jets are favored, at least, in 14 games this year. So essentially you're saying they win 14 games. That's not exactly what it's saying, but like it's kind of saying that, right? No way. No way that team's... they could win 10. I think over 9.5 is a reasonable bet to make, but I'm not buying in on the Jets as a team that's going to get to the AFC Championship game. I don't trust that offensive line to stay healthy the entire year. I just think at some point you're going to see the Jets have issues within that locker room, because it's more than just what happens on the field. It's about structure, it's about culture, and it's about a level of chain of command. When the head coach isn't really the head coach, because clearly that's what's going on with Robert Saleh. He's reading a hostage note like Tony Romo did when you benched him for Dak Prescott, and he came out there and whipped out that piece of paper, was like, "I really support Dak Prescott, and he will be the starter." It's the same thing with Robert Saleh. We're in complete control. I am on the same page as Aaron Rodgers. He has no idea. Nathaniel Hackett's not the offensive coordinator. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's in that building. He runs it, and he's got the resume to be able to do it. And the Jets are so desperate. The Jets are the guy that's dating the woman that's way out of their league, and they're just like, "What can I do for you? Anything." "Yeah, sure, you can go out with all your friends, and yeah, you're going to hang out with that guy? Sure, I don't have to worry about him. Everything's fine. I'm sure everything's cool." That's the guy you said, "I don't have to worry about. You're just friends?" "Oh, it's totally fine. Please, I just want to make sure we stay together." That's all this is. The Jets are a mess, and they're going to continue to be a mess. But Aaron Rodgers is good enough to get them to 10 wins. It stops there for me.
For Ohio State to win the national championship is 3 times more likely than the Oregon Ducks. Do you think the Ducks are that much of a drop-off from Ohio State?
No, I don't think that the Ducks are that much of a drop-off from Ohio State. Right now, I have Ohio State number 2 in my power ratings. They have a K-Ford rating of 28.7. So what that means is my model suggests that Ohio State is 28.7, or about 4 touchdowns better than the average FBS team on a neutral field. But I have Oregon number 3 in my power ratings at a 27.2. So, I mean, it's a 1.5 difference right now for me on a neutral field between Ohio State and Oregon. Of course, those two teams play each other in a conference game. Again, as we wrap our heads around that game's in Eugene. So my numbers actually give Oregon right now a 57% chance to win that game. So while my numbers do suggest that Ohio State's slightly better, it's actually Oregon that has a very, very slightly better or higher conference win total by my projections. 7.7 wins on average in Big Ten play to Ohio State's 7.6. So I don't understand why Ohio State would have 3 times better odds, as you say. And this is coming from somebody who is heavily invested in one of these two teams from a fan base standpoint.
Yeah, Ohio State plus 375 to win the national championship. Oregon 10-1. The favorite's Georgia, again, plus 325. We know Georgia for so long has been, it started with defense for them, like right at their peak when they started to, felt like essentially dethrone Alabama in the SEC. How would you look at this Georgia team and compare them to some of those past Georgia teams we've seen recently?
Yeah, this Georgia team just continues to roll. And you said it, in my numbers going back to 2019 now, their defensive unit ranking has been number one, number one, number one, number two in 2022, and they fell all the way to number 5 last year. I'm projecting them to be number 5 again coming into this year on the defensive side. The offense is number 2. This is my number 1 power rated team. They have a power rating of 32.9. I mentioned Ohio State's number 2. I mean, Georgia is 4 points better than Ohio State in my model. That's the thing that surprised me the most, honestly, at the top of my power ratings when I published my version 1 here a couple weeks ago, was not that Georgia was number 1. It's the gap by which Georgia was number 1. And we've also kind of gotten used to Georgia having a relatively easy schedule compared to the other national contenders coming through the SEC East. Of course, the SEC got rid of divisions. They added Texas, Oklahoma. This is now the 4th most difficult schedule in the country by my numbers is what the Georgia Bulldogs are facing, and I'm still giving them a 15% chance to go 12-0 in the regular season.
Is Aaron Rodgers ever going to show up? Well, at this point, is he just a hypocrite?
I mean, he is 100% the biggest hypocrite athlete going in the world. I have now started to call him Kyrie Rodgers because that's exactly who he is. And he has a cult of Jet fans around him. I mean, look, when you say during your rehab in December to the team, hey, I'm planning some kind of vacation that apparently I need top secret security detail on, that I won't be there for that week, and then minicamp hits, like you're an idiot. The Jets have had the same roundabout dates of minicamp. They're within a 2.5-week cycle for the last 5 years. So the fact that this guy was 6 weeks off, he's basically a teacher. He has most of the summer off. Couldn't determine to take a trip then is just so beyond pathetic. And when you keep pounding the non-football BS out of the building, he literally is the leader of the non-football BS. But you know what? Jet fans eat out of his hand. Nobody's done less for a franchise and had fan bases kiss his ass more than Aaron Rodgers and Jet fans, so they deserve each other.
A player that I'm very suspicious will be impactful is Mike Williams. He has been injured for feels like 5 years now, even going back to his time at Clemson. Robert Saleh says the timeline is week 1, but that he might not be 100% for several weeks after. Is Mike Williams ever going to be healthy? And, if so, how much does he impact this team to you?
So, look, the Jets had, to me, a significant void at the number 2 wide receiver. Al Mazard is still on the team. Again, shocker, why is he on the team? Aaron Rodgers wanted him there. Randall Cobb had those snaps. Here's the thing. If you're going to bet weekly props on Mike Williams when the time comes, or think he's going to be some 1,000-yard receiver, those days are toast. And by the way, they should be. Garrett Wilson is an awesome number 1 wide receiver. Where Mike Williams is going to come in handy is, Garrett Wilson's getting doubled off the jump in the red zone. I think Mike Williams is a guy who could vulture 6 touchdowns for this team down in the red zone. But I don't think with the Jets signing him was like, oh, my God, here's the true number 2 receiver. It's just another guy to have as a red zone threat. And to be honest, I mean, the Jets were lacking at the number 2. They have enough depth there. And I think, honestly, drafting Malachi Corley where they did, whatever it was, the 3rd round, 2nd round, he's going to end up, I think, getting so much of the burn and so many of those receptions. But Mike Williams is more sizzle than he is steak.